Yeah. It's going through the kind of the whole process, especially when you've deemed someone a candidate and you're trying to work through that process. And I think in that you can get very close to families and such, but obviously you're on the other side of that now. What was that experience like for you then?
Yeah. So, obviously it's been a little while now and I'm able to talk about it most days without tearing up. But in 2004, my son, he was 13 and a half months old, happy, healthy baby. He was the kind of kid that when we would go to the grocery store, he would reach into the cart and grab items out and hand them out, to everybody we passed. So just very giving, very lovable kid. The morning, that everything kind of changed. He had woke up and had thrown up in his crib and cleaned him up a little bit, but he was still fine, wasn't running a fever, not lethargic, or a little bit lethargic. But the babysitter said, go ahead and bring him over. So I took him in because I needed to go to work that day. And a couple hours later, she called and said, something's not right. Will is never sick, but he is today just not acting himself. So I took him to urgent care. As with most young kids, we assumed it was probably some type of virus that he had picked up from daycare. And they ran some tests, said he is dehydrated, gave him some fluids, and sent us home. Not long after we got home, he did stop breathing. I had to call 911 and do CPR, and he ended up having to be airlifted here to Cox. Came here to the hospital that I now support. And so once he arrived in the ER, the trauma physicians and the ER docs and the nurses were just amazing to work with. They ran every test that they could. Identified on the CT scan that it looked like he had a tumor, and they said our options were withdraw support or we could go to surgery, and he may not make it out of that surgery. And so my husband and I both said, well, let's give him a chance, right? And so I've been that family praying for that miracle, having our loved ones standing around and moving in that direction. And little did we know we did get our miracle. It just wasn't in the way that we had wanted or expected. Then overnight, he was treated in the pediatric ICU here, and he was initiating breaths over the vent throughout the evening. But at some point, middle of the night, he did stop that. The next morning, the nurse and physicians came and said, we believe that he has progressed to brain death, and we would like to do a cerebral blood flow study. So he did go to Nuke Med and came back, and the surgeon advised us that unfortunately our son had been declared dead, or brain dead. And so then a little while afterwards, Mid-America Transplant was actually the organization that partnered together with the nurse and the physician and the chaplain at the time. And all three came in and met with my husband and I and offered donation as an opportunity. And so in that moment, we both looked at each other, and I remember we both said yes at the same time, and then looked at each other like, oh, you think so too? But for us, it was really about if we could keep another family from having to experience the loss that we were feeling and that pain that we were feeling, we wanted to do that.